Hey, how are you doing? It's Anathea, your evolutionary astrologer and divine feminine educator, and I'm still very fascinated by Three Eye Atlas and everything it's doing. Now, that all said, I am not a scientist, I am not an astronomer, but I just have this inherent feeling about Three Eye Atlas that it's giving us an opportunity to tune into it. There's all kinds of things always going on in the universe, in the cosmos, in our lives, and it's what we give attention to that will uh, relate to us, that will give us feedback, that will either make our lives better or worse. And one of the things I think with Three Eye Atlas, at least this is my hunch, is that if you tune into Three Eye Atlas, that Three Eye Atlas has many gifts to offer us. And so I was just tripping on Three Eye Atlas and thought, I just want to keep you updated on it because no, not astrologers aren't really talking about it. It's in scientific and astronomy and geophysical thing or cosmic event. And so for me, though, because it's going in the plane of where all the planets are, it is going to have an astrological effect. It's a visitor that's barreling through our solar system, and it's coming from Sagittarius, the middle of the Milky Way, apparently right outside or from the galactic center. And my Jupiter is right outside the galactic center. And, I think of that as, like the point of wisdom, right? Because Jupiter and Sagittarian energy are the wisdom holders and the good luck charms and want truth and meaning and understanding. Well, Gemini wants understanding, but that's the opposite polarity to Sagittarius. They are on the same axis, so same idea. And so Jupiter gives us meaning, gives us truth. Sagittarius, Jupiter, that kind of energy. And so I feel that this, because it's coming from, there's a lot of magical connections here. It's coming from the galactic center in Sagittarius. And when it leaves the solar system, it's going to say, c'est la vie, as it exits out through Jupiter. And Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. So that's one synchronicity that I think is, whoo, that's an airplane. I don't know if you're hearing that, that is really synchronistic. But I was thinking today, you know what? I'm going to look. October the 3rd is when Mars is going to be, when Three Eye Atlas is going to be the closest to Mars. So that's October the 3rd. Exactly a month later, November the 3rd, it's going to be the closest to Venus. Interesting, right? But I thought, well, let me pull up a chart and see what the chart of the day looks like on October the 3rd when Three Eye Atlas is the closest to Mars. Now, that is the planet it's going to be the closest to, but I want to give you an idea here of how close. I looked, and they do have some data, if it's correct, that I got through chat. October the 2nd at 9 p.m. PST is when it's going to be the closest from our part of the world, right? And then, of course, it's going to be October 3rd, other parts of the world. So October 2nd at 9 p.m. PST, and then October the 3rd, and it's 0.19 astrological units, approximately 0.19 astronomical units. What is that in maybe measurements we might know? That's approximately 28 to 30 million kilometers. So there's a lot of space out there. It's going to get close to Mars where they can actually take pictures with whatever things that are orbiting Mars that they can get a better look at Three Eye Atlas. So that's going to give the science community some really powerful information to have greater understanding of Three Eye Atlas's chemistry and all of that. But for us, on an astrological view, it's approaching the masculine. And it's October the 3rd. And what I found interesting when I pulled up the chart is Mars is going to be rogue, is going to be solo. Mars that day does not have any connections at all to any other planets. Interesting, right? I didn't check asteroids or go any deeper, but that's what I wanted to really let you know. There's more to share. But Mars is going to be at 7 degrees Scorpio and have zero connections with any other planets. So Mars, the warrior, is going to be all on its own when 3i Atlas is the closest to it. It's going to give it its full attention. And then when in exactly a month later, November 3rd, when it's in Libra. Now, this is the other interesting thing. These times when it's going to be close to Mars and Venus, it's in Mars at 7 degrees Scorpio, and it's going to be 28 to 30 million kilometers away from Mars. And then on November, a month later, it's going to be the closest to Venus, but that's going to be 97 million kilometers, 0.65 astronomical units. So it's going to be a little further away. So it's going to come closer to Mars, less close to Venus, but still close. And it's touching the masculine and the feminine. So it's going through the, it's going to be doing, coming to the Mars, then coming to the sun, the center of our solar system, and then to Venus, and then Jupiter on its way out, right? But when it's closest to Mars, and this is Western astrology, not Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology has a whole other different story, but it's different lenses on how we look at it through the constellations, right? Where Mars is going to be at that time. And according to Western astrology, evolutionary astrology, Mars is going to be at 7 degrees Scorpio when 3i Atlas is closest to Mars, right? And that's on October the 3rd. When it hits Venus, it's going to be exactly a month later. And that's going to be at 26 degrees Libra. And she's going to be connected to some planets. So she's going to be connected in square to Jupiter in Cancer. And she's going to be opposing Chiron in Aries. So first and foremost, what I found interesting is that Mars is going to be all on its own, just in its autonomy. Here I am. I'm ready to protect the solar system, right? And communicate with 3i Atlas. What's going on here? Why are you coming in here? I mean, really, these objects have consciousness. They have energy frequencies. And so, I mean, we can, and there's metaphors, there's myths, and I just feel like there is an activity and a relationship that's happening. And so maybe Mars all on its own is saying, okay, what are you doing here? I'm here to protect the solar system. And what's interesting is there's a dance with Mercury that's going to be happening as well. So after Mars, after 3i Atlas comes and is closest to Mars, then Mercury is going to start trotting towards Mars. They're going to have some kind of communication. I mean, they're basically conjunct for a good long time. October the 19th, they'll both be at 19 degrees Scorpio. So they're going to be in communion, right? Now, when 3i Atlas is closest to Venus, then, this is the other thing. And I mean, they're just dancing in this beautiful, like harmonic, because when 3i Atlas is closest to Mars, Venus is going to be over there on the south node in Virgo. And Mercury rules Virgo. And so after that, October the 3rd, then Mercury is going to be scooting over to get the information. Mercury is the messenger, is going to be scooting over to Mars, say, okay, give me the skinny, what's going on? And then it's going to trot back. And all the while that's happening on October 3rd, Venus is standing next to Virgo, which Mercury is the ruler of. Okay, I hope you're following this connection here. And then it's going to start going back. At some point, it retrogrades. And then Venus is going to have its meeting with 3i Atlas on November the 3rd. And then after November the 3rd, then it's going to, Mercury is going to go over to Venus and say, give me the skinny. And that's going to be November the 24th, where they will both be at 22 degrees Scorpio. And that was the degree that Mars was at. I mean, not the degree, the sign, the zodiac sign that Mars was at when Mars had its meeting with 3i Atlas. I get too excited. I got to slow down. So I was flipping through day to day to day between October and November and seeing this little dance between these. These are the personal planets, and they're all kind of communicating. Mars is communicating with 3i Atlas and protecting the solar system, right? And then Mercury comes and wants to find out the skinny. At that time, though, Venus is standing guard at the nodes. This is a portal, Pisces, Virgo, and it was standing there at the south node. That's where we come in from. And so she's there standing there guarding. And then uh, Mercury comes back over, and then 3i Atlas comes to Venus, and that's at 26 degrees Libra, and then goes back. Mercury comes back from Scorpio and meets with Venus on November the 24th and gets the information as well. I hope I'm describing this clearly, because it's basically this communication between 3i Atlas, Mars, and Venus. Now, I didn't even put the sun in between, because it's going to be Mars. 3i Atlas is communicating with Mars, then it's going to be the sun, and then it's going to be Venus. But I haven't really looked at the sun. I can give other videos, but it's basically this really magical connection between 3i Atlas approaching Mars and then Venus, and Mercury doing its little dance, and Virgo, Mercury ruling Virgo, the south node, the gatekeeper, right? Venus holding space there. And so I found it very interesting. The other thing is that we have, Libra and Scorpio are the two signs around relationship and intimacy. So Libra is the zodiac sign of relationship, peace, harmony, and Scorpio is transformation, facing your limitations and moving beyond them. So astrologically, and this fits exactly into what I'm really into. In other words, I mean, if it was over in Aquarius, it would be more about AI and elevation and intellectual things. But this is Libra and Scorpio, and wanting to talk about and then Mars and Venus, And so it's about relationship and the transformation of relationship. At least that's the little bit of tidbit that I want to share with you. One more thing I'm going to add, though, when Venus on November 3rd is, when 3i Atlas is closest to Venus on November 3rd, Venus will be in square to Jupiter and in opposition to Chiron. And so square to Jupiter in Cancer. So Jupiter magnifies things. Cancer is very personal, emotional. What's my needs? And so this is really about magnifying in Libra relationship, our needs. What are your needs in relationship, right? And opposite Chiron in Aries, which is opposite to Libra, is, Chiron is the wounded healer, right? And Chiron in Aries is, Aries has the right to exist, is very passionate. Here I am, right? It's opposite to Libra, which Libra is all about, what can I do for you? And so Chiron in Aries there's a wound there in that Aries, that passionate, that fire, here I am energy. It's, Chiron in Aries is having a wound of, I don't have the right to exist. And so with Libra, square to Jupiter in Cancer and opposite Chiron in Aries, it's about looking at, in my relationships, do I have a right to exist? What are my needs? Am I taking care of myself? And so I just think there's a lot that we can really tune into during this time, and it's going to come and it's going to go. Okay. This is your golden opportunity to really tap in and allow 3i Atlas to give you the gifts of tuning in to how it's affecting you in your relationships, in your own relationship with yourself, with your masculine and feminine energies. So October the 3rd is a hot date. November the 3rd is a hot date. There's more, because October the 20th through the 31st is when it's closest to the sun. So this October 3rd through November 4th is going to be a powerful time, and a powerful time in our relationships. And so really seeing where do you assert yourself in a dysfunctional way and where do you shut down in a dysfunctional way, and try to find this happy medium where you can really be in your center and speak and relate from a place of love. I hope you found this interesting. I hope you found this helpful. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate your support. I know I get really super excited um, about it, and I talk over my words. And astrology is complex, but I did find a magical connection when I started clicking through the days. Again, to summarize, Mars is going to be that solo warrior all by itself, disconnected from any other direct connection with any other planet, saying, "Who are you, Three-Eye Atlas?" And then it's going to come through Venus, and Venus is going to make all those beautiful connections. In the meantime, Mercury is going to be the messenger in between. Mercury is going to go to Mars and say, "Hey, hey, what's the skinny here?" And then go to Venus and say, "This is what's going on." Okay. So there's something magical happening. And we live in a very mundane day-to-day world, having to work, pay the bills. Relationships can be stressful, the routines and all of that. Tap into the mystical and magical aspects of this wave of energy that is barreling through the solar system and touching the masculine and the feminine during October, October 3rd through November 4th. All right, I hope you appreciated this. Again, please like, subscribe, share, and I'd love your comments. All right, take care.